So why you are not using Python 3?
We have 3 more years.
Customer don't want to install Python.
Adaptations like you don't like Python 3.
We have 3 more years. We have 3 more years.
So he says like Python 2.10 support will stop only in 2020. So we have 3 more years, so we should be migrate now. Okay, but I use Python 3 because certain features which I like in previous version. So in Python 3.5, I like async, await keywords, which makes writing asynchronous code more like a synchronous code. That's one of the features. Another feature I like is async IO. We can do like a lot of concurrent things. So in this talk, what I'm going to cover is like recently Python 3.6 got released. That is like December 23rd was when it got released. There are like few features which got added. So I would like to say like what are like interesting features you should use if you're using Python 3. Let's see. So the first one is like underscore say numeric literals. So let's say like I've faced this problem a lot of times. So when you write settings.py in Django, let's say you want to rate limit your API call say like 1 lakh or like 10 lakh or 10 million. So how many zeros do you put? It's hard, like you got to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, but if you write, when we are writing, we use comma separator between if it's US style or UK style, use 2 comma or 2 after 2 characters you put comma or like after 3 characters depending on which style you are following. So if you have that kind of sophistication in the code, it becomes easier to read. Okay? If you use any other language like Ruby or other languages, they have this feature for a very long time. But Python 3.6 released this feature. So what you can do is like when you're writing any integer values or decimal values or hexadecimal values, what you can do is you can insert an underscore in between any of the 2 numeric letters, and that becomes a reading separator. This is like a valid syntax. So you can see I create a new variable bill. It's 10,000. I put an underscore between 10 and 3 zeros. If you try to use it, it will work like a normal integer variable. This is how it works. So, how do you format that? Let's say like create a variable with underscore, but I wanted to print with underscore convention. If you see the previous example, though the bill variable had underscore, but it didn't get printed when you use the print as a function. Okay. So now how do you do is you put an underscore. I think you must be familiar with the not format syntax. So in that you can put a curly bracket, colon and give underscore. For what this means like whatever the bill variable which if any one of them, whichever is following underscore convention in the numeric literals, it will follow the same style and it will print underscore values. Okay. Now this example is like first one you can see here. I had a different underscore. After every character you can have. There is no limit like how many underscores you can have it in a numeric literal. You can use as many underscore as you want. Okay, you can add 2 of the underscore literals, like underscores in numeric literals without any problems. So next one is like, can anyone say what is the format this is? Binary format. So the underscore convention is not only for integers but also you can have binary format hexadecimal. So this is very useful. For example, when you're having a TCP header or like any of the flags, you're saying like sync flag, act flag you want to set. You have like around like a 32-bit you want to set. You have like 4 placeholders. So you can use 4 underscores and you can say like first value is 15, second value is 16. So it becomes much more readable than having a long string representation or long binary representation. As I said, you can have as many as underscore conventions in numeric letters, but you cannot have a 2 underscore letters consecutively. So this is the one of the limits. So you can have 1 and followed by a character or followed by what to say like numeric literal and then underscore. You cannot have 2 underscore consecutively. So this was declared in the PEP 515. So if you are interested, you can read that. It's like you take around 10 minutes or 15 minutes to read. It's like very short, like maximum of 2 pages. Okay. So next is like formatted string literals. So when I started learning Python, I don't remember using a dot format. What I used to do is like put a %s, %d, whatever thing, and you just put percentage and put a tuple list of values. It was like hard for to even understand. But if you used any of the other languages like C#, you will have dot format on it. Okay. So in Python 2.7 or somewhere 2.6, they introduced dot format. So we saw one example of a dot format here. You can see like dot format, you pass a variable, wherever you have a curly bracket, the variable value gets substituted. Okay, when you compare to that format, this will look much better. But when you compare format and the formatter string, if you can see the boilerplate code is less. For example, I wanted to print the value of bill. Okay, I did not pass dot format. I just said like bill is the variable whose value I want in this string. So I gave like f, that says formatted string, and followed by double quotes or single quotes, and you can put in whatever text and put a curly bracket. Whatever variable name you give there, that value will get substituted there. So the two things to remember is like f, another thing is like a bracket, this curly brackets. Okay, this is called formatted strings, and you can compare the this one with the dot format, and this is the less boilerplate code. As I said, like you can use same whatever things dot format, whatever you are using like dot in the inside the curly bracket, all the things will work as expected. Here what I'm doing is like I'm saying underscore, that means the variable I'm trying to print, if it follows the underscore literals in the numerics, it will print. Second one, let's say like you have like a much different data structures like a list. Well, what happens in a list is like you have like multiple values. I want to pick each one at a point and I wanted to print. See this example, I have 3 languages. I want to print long time favorite of Python, recent addiction, some other languages. Okay. So what I did is like I put a curly bracket and I'm accessing the list by the index position 0, 1 and 2, and it is able to interpret those values and print it. Okay. So this works for list, or it works for any other data structure like classes. But however you access outside this, like you say a dot b, same format or same syntax you need to follow here. This is one example of a date type object. So now dot date, whatever you use, whatever methods are available, whatever variables are available, you can use them directly inside the curly bracket. This is like similar to like you can do a calculation in between the curly bracket. But if you use any of the templating languages, you will see like double curly bracket and single curly bracket. If you want to do any operation, you use a double curly bracket, and you put that whatever method you want to call or whatever variable you want to call it. Similarly, in the curly brackets in the formatter strings, let's say you can do any calculation in between that curly brackets. So this is like a custom way to access. So first one is what I'm doing is like I'm accessing a class variable. Second, I'm instantiating a object, a class, and then accessing like a instance variable. So this is like if you understand Python, how class variables, instance variable works, you may know what is the why it is working. So this is declared in the PIP 498. So this got added recently, and if you're wondering how it works, you should look into the 2 functions like locals and globals. If you know how that works, it may be very straightforward to understand how this might be able to interpret or how they have implemented. So next is like secrets. How many of you use APIs here or build APIs? Okay. So how do you create the API token for the user? What is algorithm do you use, or what library do you use to create the tokens?
urand. Secure
It
password.
says urand. So what is other? You like have some string, some copy stack overflow answer, you paste it in your code. Okay. Rather than doing that, what Python has done is they have introduced a new module called secrets. So you want to cryptographically generate some random number or random string so that it is secure. So what they have done is they have written a small secret module. If you see the source code, it's like around like 80 lines of code. That's all. You can go to the 3.6 implementation and see. As he said, right, the internally called os.urandom, which will just guarantee to create pseudo random number. So what you can rely on this is like whenever next time you're creating API token, you don't need to follow string dot ASCII and try to generate random numbers. Rather you can say like secret or token bytes, say you want a 16 byte or a 12 byte, or whatever format you want it in hex format, or you want it in the URL same. What you can do is like you can just pass in how much byte you want. In this case, what I have done is like I passed like 16. For example, if you ask like what is a good password strength or API secret, I think my time is up. What you can do is like you can have minimum 32 characters. It's the standard. And the last part is asynchronous comprehension. How many of you use list comprehension or set comprehension or dictionary comprehension? So what you do, like rather than creating a for loop, more than you create a variable and do dot up, you can do it in a single line using a list comprehension. So in Python, as I said earlier, Python 3.5, right? They added this async and this await keyword. Okay. So what does this async here say is, this function which you are writing is an asynchronous code. Okay. It does not return a value, but what it does yields a value or it returns a awaitable. So what I'm doing there is, this is so every async function should have an await statement or it should have a yield statement. This is the condition. What I'm doing is, like, say like I'm getting a function called numbers. It will take 5 or 6 or any argument. It will return those many number of arguments, but in the interval of like say like 0.5 seconds. It sits for 0.5 seconds and returns a value. That's the logic of this function. I will write one more function which will internally call that function to create this to get the value. So what it does, normal for loop, you can see the normal list comprehension, but you have one extra keyword here called async. This only helps or allows us to call a asynchronous function. So then to run any of the asynchronous code, you need a event machine or like event loop to run. So Python 3.4 has event loop called async IO. So what you can do is you say you get the async loop and say like, run this function until the function is over. That's what we call loop run until complete. So if you see like how this performance of it, you can see like to generate a 5 numbers, it took 5.18 seconds because it will not immediately generate. If you try to do that, it will take less than a second to generate 5 numbers. So you can read about this in Web 530. I think I'm done. If you have any questions, I can take. Okay, then, thank you. We have one last talk by Anand. I will